Peace and blessings, y'all. This is your boy Juro. It is Saturday, October 12th, 2016. How are you doing? It's been an interesting week now, hasn't it? I hope that wherever you are well. You are grounding your feet, speaking your truth, but of course, always placing God first in everything that you do. So, I've been pretty active all week, and first and foremost, I want to thank each and every one of you that have just taken the time out, just a moment, just to hear what my thoughts and things I wish to convey. That is humbling, that is priceless, and that continues to fuel my love and support back to you. Because when it comes down to it, y'all, you deserve to be loved, appreciated, to feel safe, to be able to express yourself, to find comfort in your growth, your development. We're talking about your legacy. Granted, there will be highs and there will be lows. There'll be uncertainties and some things that are crystal clear. But you know what, y'all? One thing's for sure is this. These are the makings of you. These are yours. And the things that you do, how you interpret, and how you wish to express is your definition. It's real easy to say, well, you know what, Gerald? This is true. But what's amazing is this is also part of your legacy too. And this is also why I want to put this out to someone. I want to bring awareness to someone because we still have to do our work. We still have to make a conscious decision on what we interpret or define as value compared to what is not. So, unless you are unable to watch the news, media outlet, may it be online or right on that boob tube, you know that there has been a lot of things that have been hidden in plain sight bubbling to the surface. And though we have the right to express, because the right to express is really another example of free will, there still must be accountability. But you can't have accountability if you do not know what you stand for. You will not understand what you stand for until you unconditionally make the commitment to know you. And it makes sense because one of the hardest tasks that you will embrace as a human being, a spiritual being first, which will require your entire being, your lifetime, is mastering the art of communication. In my last video, I used the word community, and I said, you can't ask or build a community without having unity. And you can't have unity without dialogue. So therefore, there must be a conversation. But you can't have that conversation until you are authentic. Authentic with yourself, to understand who and why and where and how we got here. To understand where we're trying to go, we must study and understand where we come from. Who am I talking to? But see, as the generations come and evolve, we have gotten to a place socially that we want maximum result with with the least investment, and expect that is an entitlement by our birth. When in actuality, this is the same mindset that keeps us divided. I saw something these last couple of days, and I saw a commonality. As the college students marched, raised their voices, and unfortunately some chose to raise their fists and be destructive. The question posed came across my mind. I said, well, at the least, we're looking at passion, something you believe in, something you're willing to do for nothing, because it is you. But then another question arose, and I was like, well, if people were as passionate as they are showing with their lives, why would we have to even march? And see, that bothered me, y'all, because until you decide to come home to you, until you decide to acknowledge what is lacked or needed, can you honestly be honest with yourself to admit that this ain't living? You see this play out all the time when you want to have that conversation with that person of significance of the moment, and you try to meet them in middle ground. They are disconnected. They put up the emotional barriers of protection where you should be vulnerable. Kind of makes you wonder, what's the point? So as I watched the protesters, as I watched some of the destruction, another thing popped in my head. I was like, There's somebody's baby out there. There's someone's son. There's someone's daughter. There's someone's child. And they're acting out. They're upset. They're angry. But the irony is, when there was certain times when reporters were so focused on getting the story just to make their quota, and the microphone was placed for the whole world to see, to hear. You know what came out of that? Rhetoric. When it came to individual thought, why? Why? They couldn't tell you. They couldn't tell you. So the wall of emotional protection went right back up. But here's the kicker. Some of y'all will come to understand that the reason that our communities are disfranchised, the reason why just humanity has taken a beating the way it has, you got to call a spade a spade. The media has divided us, y'all. The media is what won this election. Regardless of who was selected, the media did exactly what it set out to do. Not to inform, but to divide. See, I don't have to tell you of these examples because you already know. You've already come into encountered people that had done this. I saw this on Facebook, and you debunked that. But you know what you don't see? What you don't hear is behind the scenes. Who was the person that scripted it? Who was the person that sat down and said, this is the direction that we're going? Because somebody had to do it. Somebody had to get the cause and effect to go and orchestrate it. We don't ask those questions. So let's look at your life. The sad reality is there are people that have had access to your life either by connection of blood and bone or due to social construct that have already had they've already built a perception of what your life is going to be, how it's going to play out. They already have a box with your image in it, and they've already built a belief system about you. These people do this because it makes up the psyche that they have to protect. So let's just say that you made a choice and it was not in favor of their belief. What makes you think that they won't defend their belief? What makes you think the outcome or the effect is to put you back in that box? See, these are questions we don't ask because we're conditioned to see what is face value and take it as that, not questioning why it exists to begin with. This is the reason why generational curses exist, y'all. But here's the beautiful thing about it. Every morning, given the opportunity to take that next breath, to have that sacred heartbeat, to cognitively connect with that beautiful mind, is another opportunity to break those cycles. And the only way you're going to be able to break those cycles is you're going to have to learn to be comfortable in your own skin. And the only way you're going to be able to be comfortable in your own skin is you have to look at what makes you, you. Who am I talking to? Because until you decide to stop turning a blind eye, giving a pass, choosing silence as a tool. You do know there are people that will use silence as a weapon. They use silence as control. You see them all the time. I call them Harry Houdini people. You remember Harry Houdini. For some of you who may not be aware of the name, Harry Houdini was a magician in the 20s and 30s, and he performed tricks that boggled the mind. He was deemed the greatest master magician of his era. And still to this day, there are things that he created that people have not been able to figure out. But that's also a testament of how powerful that mind is. You only use 6% of it. 6% is what you're given. So imagine what you could create and do if you decided to love yourself. So, as I echoed throughout this year, we are more or less in the era of the grasshopper and the ant. See, right now, the people that are upset, the people that are frustrated, the people that are disenfranchised, they are represented by the grasshopper. And the people that take note, stay vigilant, and willing to do the work so that they can take themselves to the next level, they're the ant. Now, I've echoed this story countless times. Now, all the things that were hidden in your life are going to be made revealed. And the irony is, you felt this for quite some time. You felt the crossroad was coming. And it may have frustrated you. It may have pissed you off. It may have even shook you to your core. That's why you may hear people say when they're in crisis type conditions or conditions that threaten our mortality, you always hear them say this: I saw my life pass right by me. But guess what? God always brought you through it, though. You do understand God gets tired of watching you suffer. He gets even more tired when you don't claim your life, or you feel less than, or you embrace what is emotionally oppressing you. So you know what he does? He has to take the proverbial welcome mat that's under your feet and shake it sometimes. He has to shake up your environment. He does that not to hurt you, but to motivate you, to get you to a point that if anger is the vehicle, but it spawns you questioning why, the events, the circumstances that are in your life, then guess what? So it shall be. Because unfortunately, that devil wants you to stay the course, because everybody's life is like a, metaphorically like an hourglass. You know, an hourglass, it has sand in it, and the sand represents time. And metaphorically, we all have one. That hourglass represents your life, right? And sometimes, due to disappointment and how you react to it, it can make you frozen. It can stop you dead in your tracks. And your feet does not match your mindset. And there's a conflict going on. It may be a desire. You may find pleasure in whatever that focus is, but actually that pleasure is what's delaying you. So what's going on, y'all? And you know I say this out of love because you deserve to be happy. And whoever is in your environment should be a representation of that. The real question is, have they earned the right? Have they earned the right to know your name? If they haven't earned the right to know your name, why are they walking with you? If they haven't earned the right to see your dreams, because the people that are connected to you are the extensions of that. Who am I talking to? You don't actually think that you're, where you are is the end all be all. You know, you hear me say that all the time. I say this to you because you know that's a contradiction, because if that was the case, you wouldn't have those dreams. You wouldn't have those gifts. You wouldn't have that viewpoint that you secretly hold dear. But that devil wants you to think that. The devil wants you to think that so bad, he sets the environment hoping that whatever that desire was, it will take that peace from you. You know what? I'm going to share this, and I hope that this is not true. This morning, about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, right? I was asleep. And when I was sleeping, I was dreaming. And in this dream, I saw, like I was looking through somebody. I was looking like I was in a hotel room, right? It was a 5-star, because you could tell through the decor of this hotel room, because the bathroom had really nice tile, and kind of had that spa-like effect. And whoever this person was, it was a female. It was definitely a female for sure. They were looking at the bathroom like they were walking in this hotel room, and there was blood. There was blood on the toilet seat, like on the floor, and the uh, the sink was running, and you could see that whoever this woman was, uh, she was trying to get herself together, and the side of her face was swollen, brown skin. Um, the side of her, the right side of her jaw was swollen, and she had a cut right there in the bottom of her lip, and it was hemorrhaging pretty good. And the it was a it was it was a domestic. I saw this guy. This guy was like maybe 6'2", 6'3", brown skin, older gentleman. And the way he was dressed is that maybe it might have been a formal engagement, maybe not. Maybe they were going out on a date, whatever it is. But this guy was abusive. He was very covert about it. And whatever occurred, the outcome was she paid for it. She paid for it, and as she's trying to proverbially fix herself up, fix her face, she takes it upon herself to sit on the side of the bathtub, and she got this dress on, and she got her hands down, and she's doing like this, and she's saying, pretty shook. She's really shook. She's like, how did I get there? How did I get this way? How? And the conflict was she had the life that she wanted, but she didn't have the peace that she needed. Let me tell you something. I came right up out of that dream. I came right up out of that dream. And I was like, Lord, why are you showing me this? And, instinctively, I thought about my family members because I have, I have sisters, and I have, as you already know, I have a daughter that unfortunately I don't have a relationship with at this time. And then I started to think, well, maybe this was somebody that I was in a previous relationship with, because I can proudly say with my head up high that every woman that I was involved with, I loved deeply. I loved them more than they loved themselves. And the price of that was I got taken advantage of. But the reward of that is I had to learn to love myself more. Because see, love does not hurt. It don't. You can't buy love. You can buy lust. You can buy an illusion. You can buy pain. But you'll never be able to buy peace of mind. And yeah, it shook me for a second because I didn't understand where this energy was coming from. So if this is you, just know God's got something better. No one deserves to be abused. We do enough of it in our own psyche. You do understand that, right? No one can make you feel the way you feel without your consent. Because the people that come in your life are reflections of what's found in your spirit. So if you feel that you want to coin it as, I'm in a dark time, you're in a dark time because you're not being protected by God. And yes, demons are real, y'all. They're real. They love shallow people because they know that, oh, there's no protection there. So let me come on in here. And they become the muse of that person. I ain't got to remind you that. You've probably seen this play out. Somebody that may have had an impact of something to your life, and all of a sudden they go left on you. Like, well, where does this energy come? Why are you acting this way? Why are you talking to me that way? That's not them. That's not them. That's that spiritual influence, y'all. Come on. The end goal is for you to destroy yourself. That's where the term possession comes from. What is a possession? Something I have, something I control, something I dictate. But you know what happens to those people? Those people don't use their voice. I'm not talking about the octaves that come out of my mouth. I'm talking about that voice that's in your spirit, your discernment, that little boy, that little girl that lives inside you that is telling you every day, you know this ain't right. Why are you taking yourself over there to that person so they're going to give you more of the same? Why are you letting that person come into your life when you know they don't deserve you? And there's that conflict emotionally. So does it surprise you why you hear people use the term, you know, I was numb, I was broken, I was, I don't know. And then when you turn around and say, well, surely you know, what is it? You instantaneously see the loyalty to that pain, to that deception, to that betrayal, and they'll turn it on you because that's that devil saying you get too close. You're not supposed to be spending your life in a moment of playing cerebral chess to figure somebody else out. That's not your responsibility. But society wants you to think that. It plays out every day. Queen. Who told you it was your responsibility to fix him? Who told you that? I know somebody's gonna say, well, he was better off after he came in my life from where he was. But guess what? Does it stick? Because we have been groomed socially to have this mindset of, well, you know, I got my bag and you got your bag, but we're gonna work it out. No, you're not. You're opening up another opportunity for more of the same to come because the things that you lack will end up being your pain and your lessons. And that's a problem with us men. Society has convinced man to not embrace his emotions. And if you embrace your emotions, you are deemed weak. But you'll come to understand this. Until you're able to humble yourself and take a bended knee to the Most High, you're not a man. You're not a man. Because there's a level of submission to the things you have no control of. And the only way you're going to be able to navigate through that is through your faith. Who am I talking to? So that goes back to say once again, you don't have control over your life. And if you don't understand what's going on in your environment, you're not living your life. Is the road supposed to be paved smooth? No. You know why the road is not paved smooth? Because if it was smooth, all those bad habits of your undevelopment could not be broken off. How's that working for you now? How's that working out? When I first made a dedication to establish my channel back in 2011, it was fueled. The motivation was because of a heartbreak. I told my story countless times. I loved this woman more than I loved myself. I loved her children as they were my own. But the truth of the matter is, physically, she betrayed me. And the conflict of trying to love someone that did not love themselves was painful. But what was more painful was the fact of not going in, being a martyr to bad behavior, not seeing your value or worth. And that is a social construct still prevalent to this day. There are 12-year-olds walk around in our community that are moms. You want to shake Queens? You want to shake a man to his core? The revelation that his daughter is not being protected is that dagger. Because you're seeing it more and more today. You're seeing it, how it impacts relationships and how they're defined. Instead of being spiritual and evolving, they've become watered down to the decimal point of a barter system. I'll align myself with you because of what you bring to the table. I'll do this for you because of what you can do for me. Does it surprise you? But yet it shouldn't. When was the last time you heard them talking about HIV, hepatitis A, C, or just other sexually transmitted diseases? Or as this one author named Dr. Intimacy, she's on YouTube too. She talks about her life. She called them sexually transmitted demons because when you get an STD, it don't build you up, it tears you up. And it's sad. I've got to take the quote from where it came from. Yana Van Dance, I've been watching a couple of her shows, and she took a quote from Chris Rock, and Chris Rock coined it very eloquent and said, the number one responsibility for a father for his daughter is to keep her off the pole. We don't even respect the family union anymore. So how can you honor the banner, the band that symbolizes it? We've gotten so selfish and non-accountable for the things we willfully do, but we expect acceptance when we fall, but are hurt when we don't find that. Kings, I don't care if you sleep out on a park bench or you feel or you in the confounds of your home. You've got work to do, bro. There's more to you than what is swinging between your legs and what is found in your wallet. There's a reason why you were given your gender. The ultimate reason is to define, hold sacred your family name, to protect your seed. And what I find really ironic about this whole thing in 2016 is now, more than ever, the generations that are coming behind us, they're the most disconnected. And what's humbling is I understand why the generations before mine felt a little felt a little uncertain, felt a certain kind of way, you know, and it's sad. But I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic because I believe that God doesn't waste anything. And that's why you're seeing it now. Everything that was swept under the rug and stepped on and ignored or not spoken and not seen, well, that rug has come off and is being forced to be recognized. It's being forced to be dealt with. It's being forced to be validated. So guess what? You've been brought this far to see it with the sole intentions for you to decide. So some of y'all may be at that crossroad. Some of y'all may be right at your breakthrough too. And some of you will do nothing. And the devil's going to be like, that's why I'm giving you more of the same. Because see, the devil cannot possess you until you give him full dominion of your life. That's why he attacks you from the inside. He attacks your mind before he attacks the body. I got this feeling right now. This is for somebody. You sick and tired of taking that medication? You sick and tired of your condition? You sick and tired of that lack? then you better make damn sure that you love that person that looks back at you, because it's long overdue. Do you realize we live in a world that there are actually people that are hypochondriacs? They actually believe one thing, but it actually is non-exempt. It's all in their head. So think about it. If you already know what does not work for you, what's not working, why won't you give yourself permission to explore what will? If you know that this is toxic for you, why won't you give yourself what you need? And I guarantee what will come out of that will be the destruction of your ego, the dismantlement of your pride. I know there's a lot of y'all out there that were latchkey kids. I know that. Mommy and daddy had to work, especially if mom was all you saw as a parent. But keep in mind this, maybe, just maybe, the story that was constantly ingrained in your psyche was a ruse. Maybe that's the reason why you're hating your father. Maybe that's the reason why you're hating your mother, because of what your father told you. Don't you understand? You are the living representation of both of them. Doesn't matter if they stayed together or not. Maybe you were the one that was going to change the trajectory of your family tree. But see, we got a lot of track stars out here these days. We got a lot of people that refuse to take accountability for the things they've done. We even got people walking around on this planet that still won't forgive themselves. But yet you think you waiting on them to apologize. Don't you understand? I keep trying to tell you, there's a representation of what's found in your spirit. So if they wronged you, they would have never wronged you if you didn't allow it. So does that give them a pass? No, it don't. But you're doing yourself an injustice if you are under the perception that, okay, I'm going to change things up once I get that I'm sorry. You're holding yourself hostage. You're doing time in your mind. And guess what happens when you do time in your mind? The body gets tired. You already know the moment that you took your first breath, that's when the clock started and you started to age. Maybe you wasn't reared in an environment where these values that you need were presented, because they were going off of what they know, and what they know was taught by what they were taught. Maybe, but is it worth your sorrow? Now let me bring this home, because I didn't talk long enough. Because we're gonna talk about accountability down the road. You're gonna run into some people that will not take accountability for their lives. They will not have no empathy. They won't have no understand. You might as well be talking to them in a foreign tongue. That's their lesson. And misery loves company, y'all. So let's go back to this week. You do understand somebody, somewhere, with all this protesting was going on, they were making money off of it. They were making money, just as with the election. Somebody made money. Did you see the stock exchange? It said, boom. 24 hours popped, and it went right back up. You think those hedge fund guys worried about that? You think those people that have those prominent portfolios were worried about that? No. 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 So, if anything, what is required is you get on your grind. And the things that you have put to the side oh so long, you make that your motivation. Maybe this is the time you're going to finally get off your ass and get your ass back in the gym. Maybe this is the time that one dream that you had, you said, you know, one day I'm going to do this. No, this is that one day. Make the step. Make the progression. But listen, it's still your story. And if you're allowing other people to define your story, you're not going to like the end product. It's no different than you see these little girls out here in grown women's bodies. They're actually brainwashed to think that to make it in this world, I have to disrespect myself and be an object. A lot of them. And you know what's going to happen? I say this with love, Queen. There's going to be a whole lot of them by themselves. A whole lot of them disconnected from what they needed. Because if you think, oh, let me throw this out here too. Why do you think that whole mindset of independence was the way it was, how it came to be? That whole movement. Because the devil put it out there. That whole ideology, I don't need a man. You need yourself first. If you don't have nothing to bring to the table, how can you build it? How can you have a foundation if you ain't willing to do the work? But here's the kicker. The whole time, the disappointments are constantly coming, and it is breaking off the things that make you unique, breaking off what needs to be protected, breaking off the value of your mortality. Meanwhile, the devil's sitting in the cut saying, yeah, you don't need no man. You could do it yourself. You know why? So he can do the rest of his work, because anybody that stands by themselves is not protected. Remember, he's that lion in the brush. He's waiting. Yeah, but you wanted that. Yeah, but he's handsome and he's fine. He just turned me on. I just gotta have. You know he married, but I gotta have him. Yeah. And you put yourself in harm's way only to find out that man has HIV. No. I gotta get that. Them cakes is calling me. I gotta have her. Only to set your life back 10 years. Only to align yourself to a disappointment. That's not your story. You can't put your future on your backside, Queen. Because let me tell you what, the byproduct of what you're seeing right now, yeah, there's a campaign on social media for the last 2, 3 years. And it's become very evident now where there is a division between men and women, especially in the minority community. And uh, this has been progressive, unfortunately. I mean, I don't have to tell you that the line of good men is short, but it's very short when it's one that's spiritual. Who am I talking to? Do you remember? Because even with the shenanigans, because these are tools that were taught by the woman that was most influential. It may have been your mother, it may have been your auntie, it may have been that girlfriend that you have allegiance to but doesn't have loyalty to you. Because you got to remember, when you were born, you were a blank canvas, a spiritual being. And the things that you applied into your life had to be what? Taught. So if you don't love you, how do you expect it to stick? Your dream shouldn't be one of them, y'all. But I believe what's going to happen these next 4 years is going to be very epic. Like I said, it doesn't matter who is sitting in the Oval Office when you're not governing your life. It doesn't matter. Because if you don't see importance in your life, you won't understand what's going on in your environment. And that's a travesty. That is. So I want you to know this. Everything that is going to be revealed in your environment, directly or indirectly, you've progressed to this far for you to make a decision. I can only say this. Because I know some of y'all are dealing with medical issues too. And you said, well, the doctor told me this, but it still ain't no change, right? Just take this in mind. Where the mind goes, the body flows. Until you decide to be one with yourself from the inside, because whatever is in the inside is a representation of what you see on the outside. And the application or lack thereof. So you can go ahead and watch the latest distraction. Because guess what? If you've noticed about media, media chooses their distractions like Lay's potato chips. Don't worry, there'll be more. There'll be many, oh, what you won't do, she will. Only for false validation. And what happens? They use them up, get someone else to continue the agenda. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason why so many people are pissed off now, because they feel deceived. They feel left out. They feel like, well, I've done all this, but what's the answer? The answer was always there. And until you're willing to see it, can you change it? How about define it? God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. I don't know who this is for, but if you place your happiness under your social status, it's no different than being a parakeet in a cage. The accolades will become your prison. And what is a bird that can sing that cannot be heard? That's not your story. It never was. Be blessed, y'all.